of 5 that don't believe that the Bible is true, and that's where that deception comes in. Um, I remember when I was younger, and I thought it was okay, yes, you could say, harmless. We'll say that it was harmless. My friend had a Ouija board, and we thought it was harmless. We thought it was just a board game, no big deal. Um, so when we began to play with this Ouija board, things started happening, cabinets slamming, stuff, and that was my first experience with anything like that. Um, so to get a little backstory, let's let's start with a little bit of the deception, okay? Because we all know that deception dates way back to the beginning of time. Um, so I was doing the research a little bit, and God created three angels, three archangels: Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer. Michael was in charge of warfare. Gabriel was in charge of delivering messages like he did to Mary. And Lucifer was in charge of worship. So it the first sin really started in heaven when pride entered Satan's heart. And it says in Revelation 12:7 that God cast him out of heaven, and he took a third of the angels with him, the fallen angels. The fallen angels are roaming earth. Watchers is what they say. So these are angels that have been watching us. Well, they're demons that have been watching us since we were younger. They know our boyfriends. They know our heartbreaks. They know who has passed, who is living, all of these things. So divination in the Bible, it's the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. So really any power other than God. So witchcraft, fortune telling, tarot cards, mediums. You go to these people, you're seeking guidance, and you're wanting to know or get in touch with a loved one, and these demons that have been watching you your whole life, well, they've also been watching your loved one. They also know how you felt about your loved one. So, of course, they have the ability to tell you or to make it seem like that is your loved one and you're speaking to them. Acts 16 through 18. One day, as we were going down to the place of prayer, we met a slave girl who had a spirit, keep that in mind, a spirit that enabled her to tell the future. She earned a lot of money for her masters by telling fortunes. She followed Paul and the rest of us, shouting, "These men are servants of the Most High God, and they have come to tell you how to be saved." This went on day after day until Paul got so exasperated that he turned and said to the demon within her, "I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her." And instantly it left her. After this, Paul and Silas were beaten and imprisoned for casting this spirit out, because obviously the masters had lost their cash cow. But that right there tells you it's a spirit that you're dealing with. When you get involved with these, and that's where a lot of the deception comes from, is my daughter and I, we were just watching a movie the other day, and it was a movie that I had grown up with about a Barbie doll and how it comes to life. I did not see until I watched it just the other day that she made this Barbie come to life by doing an incantation out of a spell book with hair from the Barbie. But when I was younger, I didn't know that's what I was feeding myself. I didn't think anything of it because when the spell happened, the book turned all glittery and it was all pretty, and so it's okay. And there are numerous. There's an ad out right now for a streaming person that is tarot cards. You know, what are you going to watch next? We see love in your future. And it's tarot cards, and it's making it seem like it's okay. It's desensitizing you to things and allowing it to be okay. It's telling your children that this is okay. Isaiah 8:19. Someone may say to you, let's ask the mediums and those who consult the spirits of the dead. With their whisperings and mutterings, they will tell us what to do. But shouldn't people ask God for guidance? Should the living seek guidance from the dead? Anything that divides you from God. So, growing up, I was introduced to it at a very young age. With the Ouija board when I was very young. And then through on out my life, it was harmless. So I got into astrology. And astrology, we think, oh, it's not a big deal. It's fun. Let me just look in the newspaper. I'm a Sagittarius. Let me see what's going on in my life. No. You're seeking something outside of the will of God. You are seeking guidance through constellations instead of going to the creator of them. Numerology. I don't know how many people are familiar with numerology, but I just want to touch a little bit on what each one is. Because I feel like a lot of us, it might be in our homes and we don't even know it. Our kids might be messing around with it and we don't know it because we're not sure exactly what it is. So astrology is predictions about your life based off the positions of celestial bodies. So Sagittarius, Leo, things like that. Numerology. So numerology believes that the universe communicates to you with numbers. The universe, mind you, not God. The universe. There's energies involved in that because everybody is an energy and you can line your chakras. And a lot of people don't know that yoga is actually witchcraft. Crystals. As much as I love the little purple amethysts and they're so pretty, you're believing that the universe provides healing and other powers through energy emitted from stones. What? Sage. So here we are burning sage in our house because it's going to get rid of negative energy and all the demons are going to flee. I feel like Satan probably laughs at that one. If they're fleeing, it's just because it smells horrible. So, there's a lot that goes into divination that we don't think goes into divination, but it does. And it's something that even at work I deal with a lot with the girls that come in. They get into these worldly things and they're seeking guidance. And really when it comes from them, they're seeking to fill a void. They're seeking because they're terrified of the future. And they don't know where else to turn. But I'm telling you what, when I get a client in, I had a client walk in and she, off the bat, we are a faith-driven facility. She walks in and she says, I'm into witchcraft. Does that bother you? Absolutely not, buddy. Come on in. I will jump at the chance to get one. And I can tell you right now that she came in Wiccan and left Christian. And it's something that I hold dear to me because I know it's something that I've struggled with, and I didn't know I was struggling with it. I didn't know that it was an issue or even that it was demonic until I was about 15 or so. And the church that I was going to at the time, they went to a teen conference thing, you know. And my best friend at the time, um, I knew that she wasn't okay, but I didn't comprehend that it was a spirit, you know. And she would cut really bad. Her arms were so cut up, her legs were cut up. And her and I talked about it one time, and she said, it's just like releasing something. She said, every time I cut, I feel better. So, okay. So we went to this teen conference, and for the first time in my life, I saw a demon manifest itself. And it was that demon of witchcraft. And she was getting deliverance, and I mean, you just watched her face, like it just came up out of her face and was like contorting. And as a 15-year-old, he was like devastated. It wasn't until I got older and started gaining my relationship with God that I was like, this is a demon. This is a spirit. Um, Numerology, like it had such a hold on me for so long that even when I got into my relationship with God, I would convince myself that it was God sending me the numbers. And that is how it gets there, and it twists and it contorts, and it will mess your life up. And that is when the mind inside of me was no longer a sound mind. And I didn't know how bad of a hold it had on me until I gained my relationship with God. I remember times calling my mother, telling her that I wanted to unalive myself, that I didn't want to be here anymore, and that she would feel really bad if she found me that way. And it was because of the dark place that I was in, and I didn't feel like there was any hope to get out of it. But those are the things that are coming for our children. As simple as a streaming ad. It looks like a card game. They even have ones now that it's like a Ouija board, but it presents itself as talking to God. So, to get the big grapes, there's a pruning. And I don't know why God told me to give this message. I don't know if it's something as simple as there's something in your house that you're not aware of. I remember Mark preached a sermon one day, and he said, if you want to know if there's something in your house that shouldn't be there, you tell God to reveal it to you. And I did. And I was praying in my room, and I got in the spirit, and I just kept feeling a draw. And I went over to this little area, and I picked it up, and it was one of those necklaces that was just a third eye. You know, the third eye. In chakras, they believe that you have a third eye, which is like an all-seeing eye. It's a connection to the spiritual realm, and people every day wear them as jewelry. But for the big grapes to come, there's a pruning that has to happen. And I was going over this, and I found Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 14. And I use the NLT version, so if it sounds a little different, that's why. When you enter the land the Lord your God is giving you, the big grapes, be very careful not to imitate the detestable customs of the nation living there. For example, never sacrifice your son or daughter as a burnt offering. And do not let your people practice fortune telling, or use sorcery, or interpret omens, or engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, or function as mediums or psychics, or call forth the spirits of the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. It is because the other nations have done these detestable things that the Lord your God will drive them out ahead of you. But you must be blameless before the Lord your God. The nations you are about to displace consult sorcerers and fortune tellers, but the Lord your God forbids you to do such things. So not only does God hate it, obviously, but I think a lot of the people that practice this stuff, they almost get a God complex, because that's pretty much what you're doing, is you're playing God. And then you get people that come in and you're talking to them about their future, and there's a power within that. You're playing with people's lives. And I do know that the enemy will attack on things like that. Say a child loses their mother, or vice versa. And that sorrow that comes in, and that grief that comes in, the enemy will land on that quickly. Say, don't you want to just talk to him one more time? You know there's unfinished business. There's things that need to be closed. And so they seek these things out, not knowing that that's not their family member they're talking to. That's a demon. They also have these things, I know growing up I saw them in a bunch of different houses, but they called them ancestral dolls. They're family heirlooms, but they're usually little things, little figures carved out. That's divination, it's witchcraft. Those were used for a lot of different spells and incantations and things like that. A long time ago, they were also believed to be used to uh, for like families to carry things on, generational things, to carry things on. So you passed these dolls down because they were full of your ancestors' powers and all kinds of stuff. So the deception, Lucifer began his falling by trying to be like God. He was always mimicking, still does. Fortune tellers is the way that the enemy twisted the gift of prophecy. Romans 12:6 tells us, in his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. Prophecy is a God-given gift. It's not something that a fortune teller can tell you your future with. It is from God. Astrology. Genesis 1:14 tells us that God created the stars to tell us the seasons, days, and the years. Not to tell us if traffic is going to be bad tomorrow. Numerology. It takes away from the biblical representation of numbers, such as 7 being the number of completion, or 3 being the Trinity. Crystals. And this one was one of my favorites. There's Exodus 28. It speaks about the high priest's breastplates, the 12 stones. There was one for each tribe. And some of those stones are sardius, topaz, emerald, turquoise, sapphire, diamond, jacinth, amethyst. And all of those stones, according to the world, emits different energies. So you might carry one around for healing. You might carry one around for digestive health. Revelation 21, New Jerusalem. 12 foundation stones. I'm not 100% sure. You can search it and fact check me, but I feel like that is where the world twisted birthstones. And they're colorful. They're beautiful. Ezekiel 28 tells us that the Garden of Eden is covered in stones. Beautiful, colorful stones. And my personal favorite, Revelation 4:3. Apostle John describes God seated on the throne using jasper, carnelian, and emerald to refer to God's brilliance and beauty. And the world takes these stones and twists them into thinking, here you can have some healing. If you carry this around with you, your hair will grow better. Are you kidding me? And I know that the stairway to heaven and things like that has been talked about with the colorful stones, and it's the colors of the rainbow, which is a whole nother deception that we won't go into. The enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. Sometimes the only way he can get to you is through your brain. And if he can attach enough demonic forces to you to make your brain completely black and dark and feel like you are not worthy of living, then that's what he's going to do. I saw a thing the other day that says that the enemy doesn't have to drag you to hell. He just has to distract you from heaven. That's what he set out to do. My entire life, I didn't know that all of these things that I was taking in as a child had witchcraft and stuff in it. Things that you wouldn't think would have witchcraft. Children's shows. The Smurfs. It is insane. And that's what he's doing to get to our children. It doesn't have to be a movie or a show that is blatantly disrespecting God and you catch it and you turn it off. No, it's going to be in the small, quiet. And you can't tell me that algorithms do not target children. We gave our 5-year-old son a tablet, and the things that began coming up on his YouTube, his dad shut that down real quick. It'll be in the quiet, small things. And I know that a lot of young kids these days, they're going around school with the crystals tied to their neck because it's pretty. I've even seen people getting engagement rings that literally have actual rocks on their fingers. Just because they think it's cute, but they don't understand what the power that it's holding. And it is such a huge deception nowadays that we see it as something small and playful and fun, and it's okay. Nothing's going to attach to my child.